Welcome back to another explainer. I gotta tell you, I am so incredibly pumped for this one because today we're going completely under the hood of human consciousness. Literally, we are talking about the ultimate source code of your mind. Specifically, we're diving into something called the Manodvara Chitta Vithi. Now I know, don't let that ancient terminology intimidate you for a second, because we're gonna break this all down into basically the most brilliant matrix-style flowchart you've ever seen. By the time we wrap this up, you are going to see your own thoughts in an entirely new way.
So let me just ask you something right off the bat. What exactly just happened in your brain a second ago? When you were just taking in my introduction, how fast do you think that single thought actually processed? You know, we usually think of a thought as just one fluid, singular thing, right? But what if I told you it's actually a highly structured, ultra-fast sequence of micro-events, firing off in a very specific, totally unbreakable order?
And that brings us to our core framework for today, the Manodvara Chitta Vithi, which translates to the mind door thought process, comes straight out of the ancient Buddhist Abhidhamma. Really, you can just think of this as your brain's core operating system. It's a literal matrix-style breakdown of our consciousness, and it's operating on a millisecond level. Every single thought you have, no matter what it is, follows a distinct coded path. So today, we're looking directly at that source code.
Now, according to the source material, there are two main branches of this mental code, and it all depends on the impulse driving the thought. On one side, we have the Paritha Javanaviti. That deals with the sensuous sphere, basically our everyday, normal worldly thoughts. Then, on the other side is the Apanat Javanaviti. This one deals with Mahagata and Lokotara, which represents those really deep, meditative, highly elevated states of absorption. But for our daily, everyday human operating system, the absolute keyword driving both of these is javana.
So, what exactly is a javana? Well, the source defines javana as the impulse. It's the active, executing phase of a thought process. Think of the javana as that exact split second where you actively make a decision. You know, like when your finger twitches to smash a like button, or when you instinctively swerve to dodge a hazard in a video game. That right there, that is the active execution firing off in your mental code.
And what's really fascinating is how this code adapts based on your signal strength. We've got two key classifications to look at here. Vibhuta, which means you're dealing with clear objects, and avibhuta, which refers to obscure objects. It's honestly just like your phone. Vibhuta is like an app you're actively using right now in glorious high definition. Avibhuta, on the other hand, is like some obscure background task just running quietly out of sight. And the specific code your brain decides to run completely changes depending on whether that object is clear or obscure. All right, are you ready for this? It is officially time to look at the master code cheat sheet. We're going to dive into the actual variables and abbreviations that map out a single human thought. Seriously, strap in, because once you see these sequences laid out, the way you think about your own thinking is never going to be the same. Okay, here is our hacker's cheat sheet directly from the Abhidhamma. We start with B for life continuum, or bhavanga. Then there's A for past life continuum, kind of like reaching deep into system memory. Next is BC for vibrating life continuum, and BU for ceasing of life continuum. Then we hit MN, which stands for mind door advertence. After that is JV for javana, which, as we just learned, is that crucial impulse. And finally, TD for registration, or tadaramana. Look, I totally know it looks like a whole alphabet soup right now, but you really just need to remember these specific strings for the sequences we're about to decode.
To make it super simple, the most crucial part is really just understanding these two anchors, B and TD. Whenever you see B for Pavanga, just picture your gaming console's rest mode. Your brain is idle, it's just quietly ticking over. And when you see TD for registration, that is the exact moment your brain is successfully saving the data to the hard drive. It's the final, permanent confirmation of the thought. Actually, let me pause for a second and ask you, are you even actively thinking about this explainer right now? Or is your mind kind of wandering off to a past object? Maybe you're suddenly thinking about what you ate for breakfast, or you're low-key worrying about a task you have to do later today. Well, how our brain handles those kinds of thoughts about the past and the future requires a completely different sequence of code than what happens when we're focused purely on the present. Which brings us to the foundational rules of mental time travel. Rule 1. Thought processes dealing with objects of the past and future do not carry a 17-moment lifespan. Rule 2. Thought processes dealing with objects existing right now in the present moment do carry a full 17-moment lifespan. This structural difference in the lifespan of a thought is an absolutely massive key to unlocking our source code. Let's look at how the past and future code runs first. All right, here we go. This is a clear thought about the past or future. Check out this 14-moment play-by-play. The mind is just resting at B, then it vibrates at BC and ceases resting at BOO. Then, bam, mind door advertence, MN, opens the gate. And look at moments 5 through 11. That is 7 straight rapid-fire Javana impulses. Java, 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 Java. Executing, executing, executing. And because the object is clear, Vibhuta, it hits TD twice at moments 12 and 13 to save that file to the hard drive, and then finally drops right back down into B, rest mode, at moment 14. Honestly, it's an absolute masterpiece of a sequence.
But wait, what if that past or future object is obscure? Avibhuta. Check this out. The sequence starts off exactly the same way. B, 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 Ma, followed by those same 7 Javana impulses executing, but look really closely at moments 12, 13, and 14. Because the thought is obscure, it never actually registers. There is no TID. The code just drops straight back into rest mode. B, B, B. The thought happens, sure, but the file doesn't get a final save.
Okay, so we've seen how the mind time travels in 14 moments. Now, let's hack the present moment. When a thought connects with an object existing right now, in this exact literal second, the code expands. We are now entering the heavy-duty 17-moment present code. Let's watch how a standard, clear present thought executes. Notice moment 1. It doesn't start with B. It starts with AB, the past life continuum. Then it flows right into the vibration and ceasing, BC, Ba. The mind door opens at MN, we hit our 7 massive executing javanas, we get our double TD registration to officially save that present moment. And then the brain cools down with 4 straight moments of B, rest mode, filling out that entire 17-moment lifespan. But here is where the Abhidhamma matrix gets genuinely mind-bending. What if the thought object is a bit slower to manifest, and it takes longer to boot up in the present moment? Well, the AB variable actually shifts to wait for the signal. Depending on how long it takes for the object to impinge on the mind door, those initial AB moments stretch out, which pushes everything else further down the timeline.
Just watch how this builds in a present Vibhuta type 3 sequence. Look at moments 1, 2, and 3. It takes 3 whole ob moments just to boot up, so the entire sequence gets shoved over to the right. We still get our 7 javanas, we still get our double T save at moments 14 and 15, but now we only have room left for 2 B moments of rest at the very end, just to stay under that strict 17-moment limit.
Now look at this extreme case, type 5. It takes 5 whole AB moments to boot. The sequence gets pushed so far down the line that the registration, those 2 TD moments, sit right at the very end at moments 16 and 17. It hits the 17-moment wall exactly as it finishes saving. There is absolutely zero room for rest mode B at the end of the stop process. The system just completely maxes out the memory allocation.
So all of those were clear Vibhuta objects. But what happens when the present object isn't completely clear? What about obscure background present objects? Avibhuta. Well, if the signal is weak, the boot time struggles even more. Let's see what happens to our code then.
This right here is present Avibhuta type 1. Look at the start, 6 ob moments. The obscure present object boots up so incredibly slowly that it pushes those 7 executing javanas all the way to moments 10 through 16. Because it took so long and the object is obscure anyway, there is literally no room left on the 17-moment timeline to save the file. There is no TED-G. It just crashes straight into a single B rest mode at moment 17.
And finally, the absolute slowest boot sequence, type 2. 7 AB moments right at the start. It is taking forever to register this obscure present object. It finally hits the vibration, the mind door opens, and it fires its 7 Javana impulses. But look where it lands. The 7th Javana impulse lands exactly on the 17th tick. The thought ends abruptly before it can register a save, and before it can even enter rest mode. The 17-moment lifespan just expires right mid-action.
17 moments of code. That entire sequence we just mapped out together, that is just one single thought. All of that data shifting, booting, vibrating, executing, and saving, it is happening continuously in your head, faster than the blink of an eye. The complexity and precision of the Manodvara Chitta Vithi is just absolutely staggering when you actually see it laid out like this.
So, I'll leave you with this little thought experiment to ponder today. The next time you make a split-second decision, or suddenly remember something from yesterday, or even just vaguely notice something out of the corner of your eye,
Ask yourself, which lines of code did my brain just run? Was it a 14-moment past reflection? Was it a 17-moment clear present execution? It is all running right there in the source code of your mind. Thank you so much for joining me on this explainer. Keep learning, keep questioning, and I will see you in the next one.